Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Shoots with Coops, and today's video, like you saw from the topic guys, is Kodak, Fujifilm, and the Fujifilm X100 series. Are they killing, or at least going to cause a decline in film photography? So as 2023 has started guys, it is a crap year so far to be a film photographer. Everything's out of stock. In Australia here, if you're lucky to find any form of colour film, you're much better off than everyone else. It's almost non-existent here. Prices have gone through the roof. Prices of developing have gone through the roof. The price of cameras have gone through the roof. So it really hasn't been a great start to the year, and then obviously we've got the Kodak price rise coming in March. So things aren't looking that great for the film community. The Kodak shortage that we're kind of going through right now, not being able to get stock, coupled with obviously Fujifilm over the last couple of years, they have killed off Pro 400H, Natura 1600, 160NS, some of the superior lines, and Velvia in 4x5 and 8x10 sheet film. So with Kodak being unable to get their shit together, so to speak, and we do have new players coming through. We've got Adox with their color mission, we've got Orwo with their new color film. There are other players in there, but the R&D, it takes a long time to get these things sorted. So for at least for the next couple years, we are all pretty much become dependent, and still going to be dependent on Kodak. Like I always jokingly say, the whole world's gone Kodak now. And I am genuinely curious, guys. How many of you have slowed down your film consumption? Have you slowed down shooting a lot of film simply because of the price rises and the availability? You've just been shooting more digital because you either can't get your hands on it or it's become too expensive for you to shoot all the time. Now, I'm only talking about color film here, guys. I think black and white is a separate beast. It's a completely different kettle of fish. For instance, most of you guys who watch the channel know how much I love black and white film. I bulk roll it, I develop everything, I scan everything myself at home to mitigate a lot of the costs. But it'll never be replaced for me because I shoot black and white film because I love the output, the grain, the grit, the texture, everything about it. I feel digital cameras can't reproduce, and I definitely love that low-fi quality of 35 black and white, so to speak. And it won't change. Regardless of the price rise, I'll still keep shooting even if black and white film does get significantly more expensive. And I think the same is true for a lot of you guys out there. A lot of you, people especially my age, mid-30s and onwards, guys, we've been shooting film for a long time. We're gonna bitch, moan, and complain about the price rise of film and camera gear, just like everyone else. But we're the ones that are gonna continue to pay it and shoot it non-stop because we're a bit older. Economically, financially, we're in a better position than a lot of the younger generation. We can afford to spend a bit more disposable income on film, and for us, the higher price still justifies, the nostalgic value, or that's our medium. Paint to a painter. To a lot of us, film is that, film is our paint. And we're going to keep paying it and we're going to keep shooting it. But what has me worried, guys, is the younger generation. And what sparked all of this is a post I saw this morning on our big Australian film photographer community Facebook page. A young guy, more or less, he's posted his cameras for sale, but the title has read, "Thanks to my X100V, blah, 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 shooting less film, I'm getting rid of all my cameras." And he was listing 4 or 5. It essentially looked like he was getting rid of almost all his film cameras, and, notably saying because of the X100V. Now, the X100V, I will give credit to Fujifilm. It is an amazing camera. I have owned one in the past. I sold it because anyone who knows me, I carry on about it. I'm a 50mm focal length type of guy. And 38, it's almost there. 28 is just a bit too wide for me for a fixed lens camera. That's why I didn't gel with the Leica Q2 and why I sold the Fuji X100V, because I'm more of a 50 kind of guy. But Fujifilm really hit the ball out of the park on this one. And I always make the joke, guys, if the X100 series of cameras had a manual film advance for recocking the shutter, much like the Epson RD1, film would be dead overnight. I mean, that camera and a lot of the Fujifilm cameras in general give you 85% of the film experience. If you're using the X100 or the X Pro line and using the OVF, essentially, I mean, Leica cameras do the same thing if you can afford them, but Fujifilm have done an amazing job of recreating essentially what it's like to shoot film, especially if you've got, the Fuji X Weekly app on your phone, and you can actually dial in a lot of the film simulations straight into Fuji, you're shooting JPEG, you're not shooting RAW, using the OVF, using all the manual dials. It's as close as you possibly can get. And that's what's genuinely got me worried, guys. It's not people like me. We're always going to pay to shoot film. You know, people like my friend Hashim, who runs Pushing Film. You know, my friends Amy and Alex, who run and own Silver Halide Lab. The guys Robin and Luke who work for them. We're always going to shoot film because we're hardcore. We're right into it, you know, but we're going to pay the prices. But the younger generation have me concerned. This combination of Kodak not meeting the supply, Fujifilm getting rid of their supply, and giving the younger people a camera that almost recreates the experience. It's like a recipe for a lot of younger people to just to stop shooting film. Now, I know a lot of people are going to make in the comment, well, guys, you know, they're putting up, Kodak have put the prices up because they're hiring more staff, R&D to meet the demand, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, and I get that, and that's great, but you can't tell me we're going to see any returns on this next price rise come March. We're not going to see any physical returns as far as film supply comes for a minimum of a year, I would say. As someone who owns a business and has lots of staff, and I get how the economy and staffing and training and machining works, it's going to be at least a year, probably 1.5 to 2 years before Kodak are genuinely up and running with these new trained staff, new machines to be able to meet this current demand we're experiencing now. And the problem is when we've got film that's too expensive and we can't get our hands on it, Fujifilm pulling their stocks, these other players, like I spoke about, Adox, Orwo, they're still a ways off from being big, you know, big ball hitters, big heavy hitters, suppliers. And then Fuji coming out with, you know, having the X100V, which nobody can get their hands on a new one at the moment, and you're paying more for a second-hand one than you were for a new one several months ago. And, you know, and they've just released the X-T5, you know, and eventually we're probably going to see soon is the next iteration of the X100 series cameras. But even the X100F, T, S, they're all amazing, cool cameras to use. And like I said before, if Fujifilm put a manual film advance on it, film would be dead overnight. So the big question, and why I'm genuinely concerned, is do you think the younger generation, so all these, you know, millennials, everyone getting into film right now who's discovering for the first time, who's causing this film renaissance, and thank you to everyone who's getting on board, we've got to support film. Everyone who's supporting this, are they just going to fade by the wayside over the next year and a half, because it's just going to be too expensive, lab costs, getting film developed and buying film, and the main thing being getting your hands on color film. Like I said, black and white separate, guys, because most of these new people, they're shooting color film, they're not shooting black and white film. But black and white, to go off on a tangent, black and white and fine art, black and white photography is always going to have its place. It's these new people coming in, wanting that nostalgic retro look that, you know, that especially budget consumer film gives you, you know, Kodak Gold, Color Plus, Ultramax, that sort of look. They can't get their hands on it. It's become too expensive. Are they just going to give up and go, well, why am I spending so much money on this? The cameras are so expensive. The film's so expensive. I'm just going to get a digital camera. That's what worries me. Are we going to be able to see through the next year or 2 years until Kodak gets their shit together and these other players come back on the scene? I'd love to know what everyone thinks about this, because this is the one thing that's genuinely worrying me about the color film industry, so to speak. Are we going to be able to keep people engaged until the demand is going to be met? So thanks for tuning in, guys. This is just, I had the idea and I felt like I'd get this out to the community and see what everyone else thinks, if we can get a wicked discussion going on down in the comments below, because I'm genuinely want to hear what people think we can do, or what can be done, or what should be done to, you know, deal with the current demand that we're seeing for film. So thanks for watching this one, guys. Drop a comment down below, tell me what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video.